Hello and welcome to the Studio 7 podcast with your hosts Joshy Lee and Luciano D'Amato.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Studio 7 podcast. The last episode was admittedly an extensive one.
A very long one.
Yeah, so but hopefully it was enjoyable and interesting too, to make up for it.
Yeah, we got some good feedback.
Yeah.
That's all we kind of want, really, to start conversations.
So shout out to everybody who got in touch and let us know what their favourite films were. As we expected, we missed out quite a few.
Yeah.
And since some that we had seen and a lot that we hadn't, obviously, which we didn't mention for that reason.
Almost every day since a moment of, no, that one.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So the list has already changed anyway. I was going to go through and like reel it off for anybody who didn't watch the last one, but it wouldn't be the same anyway. No. So if you do want to know what we did list, what we did think was the best films of the decade, go and watch the last video. You will learn a lot. We still love those films, of course.
Definitely.
So episode 3 this week.
Yeah, so this episode is going to be about how cinema has changed over the past 10 years. So kind of sticking with the whole decade theme. We've came to the end of a decade, so we want to try and discuss as much as possible.
Yeah, this is kind of like a part 2 in a way.
Yeah, in a sense. This was going to be a part of the first video until we realised. Maybe like an hour in, we're like, it's not going to work. Yeah.
There was actually... so we've broken this down into 2 parts, I guess. And there was actually a third, but we scratched it because we realised we can't keep doing 2-hour long episodes. So, hopefully this one will be a bit more concise.
Yeah, definitely. So should we jump in?
Yeah.
Go section by section.
Right.
So, first off, we are going to talk about streaming. And how it's kind of came in and really changed the game.
Completely.
Yeah. And obviously, the leading company, which is at the forefront of that, is the big Netflix.
Yeah. In fact, they started it, really.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Started the godfather of the streaming service.
Yeah.
So a little bit of background history. If you didn't know already, you probably do, because it seems like everybody and their grandmother's got Netflix. Or knows someone with an account and uses it. Knowingly or unknowingly.
Yeah, there's a really... when I was looking into it, there's a really interesting fact that I actually kind of almost slipped off my seat reading.
Yeah, I think I might have that as well. Yeah, to do with viewers.
Absolutely mental.
Yeah. So, if you go back to the beginning, was it 1997 originally?
Yeah, 97.
Yeah, it's actually older than Google, apparently, by a year, which is nuts.
Yeah.
And obviously they started out as a physical copy rental service, kind of like Blockbusters, but it was all done through the mail.
Post, yeah. Yeah, postal service.
And then obviously with the dawn of the internet and better connections and more people,
they were smart enough to move with the times.
Yeah, because I remember I was a bit late to the Netflix scene, because I'm an old school film fan, as in I used to love having the physical copies. So,
same.
If
that is something that I do kind of miss, is the old, weekend family trip to Blockbusters and spending a half hour to an hour, if not more, going around and reading all the cases and picking what films you're gonna take home for the week.
There was an excitement about it. It's the same as going to a library and like not quite knowing what they're gonna have, and then even finding some books that are like maybe out of print, or
you go there with an idea of what you want, but then you come away with something completely different.
Which was always the exciting thing.
Which I guess they've tried to recreate. You got to give them that. Like, it is basically just Blockbusters in your house, but there is that. Same with the cinema. It's like this big thing. It's like, I've got to go there to get there for this time, and it's the nice feeling about it. Like, oh, I'm going to at 6 p.m. to watch this blockbuster.
What I've noticed is, and I noticed this with a lot of people, is like sort of I'll plan what I want to watch ahead of schedule. I've got my watch list so that I don't end up browsing for ages on end.
Yes.
And now I've been around a lot of people, and sometimes they can pick a film straight away, or they'll look and see a recommendation. More often than not, they're browsing for like 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour, and it's kind of painful to watch. you know, because you could have watched a couple of episodes in that time, or even maybe squeezed in 2 films instead of just the one. So there is that side of it as well.
Or a couple short films.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing I just wanted to like quickly mention as well was so obviously back in the day I used to have a really big DVD collection. I'm starting Blu-rays as well. And then I moved to London and it became like impossible to like ferry them, and I never knew which ones to take and things like that. So in the end I made like a big decision to just like sell them all, get rid of them all. Yeah, huge regret, but what's done is done. Can't live in the past. But what it did do was encourage me, you know, to look into streaming services and stuff, which I'm glad I did. Yeah. Now obviously I do buy films now, and I do have a little small collection, but nowhere near what it was. You know, I had like almost 1,000 at one point. Now it's just like my absolute favorites and stuff that we want to watch for inspiration and things like that. Yeah. But I think that was kind of the turning point, really, for me anyway, in jumping on the Netflix hype and getting involved, which is a bit later than everybody else, I think. But now, look where we are, 10 years later, and
they're running the game.
They're running the game. They've got 2 films up for Best Picture noms this year, which is insane, and Best Director.
Yeah, Marriage Story and Irishman.
Yeah, and last year was Roma. Yeah. So, who's to say next year it's not going to be 3? You know. Yeah.
Same with Cannes Festival as well, with Okja, another Bong Joon-ho, and he's in there with Parasite, this year. Yeah. So, yeah. Going back to your origin of Netflix, I found this quite funny. I don't know if you know, but the 2 founders, Mark Randolph and Reed Hastings, they both got separate origin stories. Did you see that bit?
No.
It's very interesting. So, Reed Hastings has told, this is the leading one, is that
the main guy.
They got the idea to open up their own rental, the postal rental, because he got charged like something like $40 for a late fee for Apollo 13.
I did see this, yeah.
So he then had the idea to start up something, and they had like a really weird name before. It was Netflix as well, something really weird and cheesy, and thankfully they changed it to.
Do you know what
Netflix.
It originally was?
No, I'll have to have a look.
They probably scratched that from
the
records.
Yeah, and then siren going past.
Yeah. It's not us, I promise.
And then Randolph just had the very which I think is probably the realistic one. I think Hastings was going for like some awesome origin, and Randolph just came in and was just like, no, we just wanted to be the Amazon.com of something. So it's just.
But that's how a lot of businesses start. They see a gap in the market, a niche, and they jump on it. I mean, sometimes it's not even necessarily something that they're into themselves. And you've got to give them credit for actually foreseeing this gap before it happened. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Amazon was already established then, and they hadn't really picked up on it. And now they're trying to play catch up. Yeah. And I feel like they've almost given up playing catch up now, actually. Yeah. Which we'll get into in a bit.
But this is what they were called. They were called Kibble before Netflix. That's what the limited company opened up as, was Kibble.
Walks.
Yeah. Sounds like a dog food or something.
Yeah. Not ideal.
No.
So yeah, just a bit of trivia about Netflix. It's been around longer than Google. Established in 1997. Google was founded in 1998, obviously. It's available in over 50 countries now around the world. In the United States.
And probably growing.
And growing, yeah, daily. In the United States, it outranks people with cable TV with 33 million subscribers. Yeah,
Mad.
More people are on Netflix than cable in America.
Jesus.
The average Netflix subscriber streams around 90 minutes a day.
Flip.
An hour and a half. I mean, if you think as well, you know, doing everything else, maybe watching TV as well, you know, it's almost become like a ritual thing, hasn't it? Yeah. Like you actually set time apart in your day to sit down and watch a streaming site, whether it's Netflix or Prime or Adult Swim or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's why we love to do what we do, is to entertain people.
Yeah.
If that's what people want in their evenings.
And I think everybody should be entitled to that.
Exactly. The comfort of your own home and everything.
Yeah. It's also the single largest contributor to internet traffic in many countries.
Yeah.
In the States, it amounts to almost 1/3 during prime time.
That's on mine it says, it might be the US. I thought it was the world. It's probably the US.
What's that?
You're probably correct. The 1/3 of all internet traffic.
Mm.
But either way, US or world, that is mental.
Crazy, yeah. And so that's why time of day sometimes affects the video quality. The worst time being 7 to 9 p.m.
Yeah.
I've experienced that before.
Yeah.
So yeah, have you got any other interesting bits to add to that?
Yeah. Do you know what Netflix's first original project was?
I remember seeing it, but I can't recall off the top of my head.
House of Cards.
Was it?
Yeah. In 2013. Because all up until then it was licensed material. That was the first one that they put money into produce.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then leading on from that, in 2019 they spent $15 billion of a budget on original material. Yeah, and I think they're planning on doing the same this year, if not a little bit more.
Not more. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to think of their turnover. Like, if they're putting that out, they think how much they're expecting.
Well, I remember hearing or reading somewhere that they're not actually
making profit.
Not making profit. No.
Actually, yeah.
But they've got such a good turnaround, and their projections are so good, and they've
solid.
And obviously they've got the records to back it up now. They've been going for since 1997.
Yeah, I read something like that. Like, they had like a business plan for like 20 years or something stupid, and they went and got the money.
Yeah, they had to, because otherwise people have been like, well, actually you're not making a profit, so why should I invest? But it's like, stick with us. Yeah. Look at the projected growth. So yeah, it's cool that they've kind of gone from just hosting films to actually producing, investing, distributing, not only on their platform but in cinemas as well now. And
how it went from like almost like a taboo thing as well, like people in the industry saying like, oh, these streaming sites are taken away from cinema and whatnot. We'll get on a bit more to that later.
Yeah.
But how now they've integrated and they're getting into prestigious festivals as Cannes and now the Oscars, like even taking home Best Pictures and winning BAFTAs and Golden Globes, and it's just becoming a part of
cinema.
Hollywood.
Yeah. There was a little bit of resistance at first.
Naturally.
Yeah, I think even Steven Spielberg came out and said like he didn't think it was fair that they were able to be up for some of these award nominations going back a few years ago, and some other well-respected filmmakers came out and agreed with him. But that has definitely changed. I mean, now you've got people like Scorsese, Noah Baumbach going to Netflix to get funded for films that they possibly otherwise wouldn't have got funded through the studio system.
Yeah, there was the interview with on the Hollywood Reporters Roundtable with the directors.
Right.
And Scorsese was there, basically saying that he'd been trying to make The Irishman for, I can't quote it properly, probably like 10 years, I think he said.
Easy, yeah.
And obviously the technology just wasn't there for the de-aging and everything. Which I still think it's got loads of space to grow. Yeah. The de-aging effects. I think but every single project you can tell, like, there's more and more technology and experimenting going into the perfecting of the technique. Just
a little quick inside thing. The estate of James Dean has sold the rights to his looks to a digital company to use, so that they're going to recreate him potentially as an actor and so obviously have someone stand in on set.
I was actually wondering when they were going to start doing this.
So this is the start, and it's going to be James Dean as the first person you'll see. That's a bit,
I get it, but that's going to be some poor actor who also wants to have their face shown and make a name for themselves, who are going to be covered up and told that they're James Dean.
And not earning a fraction of what James Dean would have earned.
Yeah, I know that they're like ghostwriters and stuff, and they would happily just write for these artists and write for whoever, and then take the back seat, take the payment. They don't want to have the spotlight, and they'll write for someone to get in the spotlight. maybe there might be some actors like that, but normally when it comes to acting, it's a physical thing. You want to be in the spotlight. That's the reason you're getting into it. So I can't see that going down very well. Because I remember with the Star Wars Rogue One, there was a big uproar about what was it? With when they de-aged.
I can't remember the actor's name, but was he playing Moff Tarkin?
Yeah,
the character.
Tarkin, yeah. And he kicked up a fuss because he didn't know it was going to be changed, like literally like a complete just altercation of his head. It just literally put Tarkin's head on his head.
Yeah.
And then that sparked the whole thing, and then which is also quite funny how they recreated Leia in
Carrie Fisher.
In the new Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Because that was interesting. Because I didn't think they were going to do that. Because there was a big thing about the daughter or someone saying that they weren't going to do that.
J.J. Abrams himself said he wasn't going to do it,
exactly.
and then did it.
That's
so it was
really
a bit weird. I don't know. I think at the end it came to
there needed to be a story, and that
there
was the
needed
best
to be
way
a story, and they needed to really try and deliver with the last film after the reception of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And we'll get onto that in a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I just wanted to talk again quickly about how Netflix has opened the gate for more aspiring filmmakers to get their work produced, which wouldn't have been possible before. So these may have been people who've done a few little projects, but are still not sort of hot topics yet for the studios, and they might not want to take a risk. But Netflix is kind of there, allowing them to now.
Yeah. Because
they need the content to put out. Yeah. They need to be in constant competition with the studios.
That's what I was saying then. I didn't finish my point. With Scorsese in the round table.
Yeah.
When he was saying like he's been trying to get this film made and go into like every studio he has
affiliation with.
And was pitching this, and this is Scorsese.
Yeah.
Going off and pitching a De Niro Pacino movie.
Keitel as well.
And Keitel, all of them, all of the big OG gangsters.
Yeah.
And they're saying no.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter like who you are. They know that them putting like 150, what was it, 170 mil?
170 mil, yeah.
Into even Scorsese, they were like, but then Netflix was there to go, come on Scorsese, open arms, come here. You want to make your movie? Yeah, no questions. We're going to take a back step and we're just going to make sure it happens for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they're obviously benefiting, but then also sort of lesser known directors, like Mike Flanagan, who did House on Haunted Hill.
I am excited
Hill
for
House, sorry.
Anything that he's got the new one coming out. Something Manor maybe. But they're in pre-production now, or filming now.
Okay. Is this a sequel to Haunting of Hill House, or is it something else?
I'm not too sure. I think there's only one of the actors. It's not meant to be like a direct.
Is it kind of like an American Horror Story thing, where it's like a...
Yeah, but I don't think it's the same actors.
Okay.
I think he's just going now and he's taking other horror books from this writer.
Right.
I have to look into it. I might be completely wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so off the back of the success of that, which I remember when I was in one of my last jobs, being in the office and completely unrelated to film, and obviously one of the topics of conversation was Netflix, and people would talk about Hill House.
Yeah.
I haven't got around to watching it yet. I'm embarrassed to say. It is on my watch list, but I have seen Doctor Sleep.
Oh, Doctor Sleep, yeah.
Which I'm sure he got the gig for off the back of The Haunting of Hill House, which was one of my standout films from last year, and actually a big surprise.
Yeah.
And then there's also David Michaud, who did originally Animal Kingdom.
And The Rover.
And and The King for Netflix last year, which was one of my favourites of last year as well.
And we didn't mention it.
I think I slipped it in my honourable mentions, yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't mention it.
Yeah.
No, it was me that forgot that you mentioned it.
But then I said you could change your list.
Yeah.
Because I missed out About Time.
Yeah.
So very interesting there. So basically it's sort of giving up and coming filmmakers a chance now. Some room to have their voice heard. Whereas before it really was, the big guns who were sort of getting their stuff seen to first. Now there's a lot of room for people to come up.
Now the doors opening up for younger filmmakers.
Yeah. So there's a lot more competition now.
Yeah, the sequel to Haunting of Hill House is The Haunting of Bly Manor. And it's coming out this year.
One to look out for.
Extremely excited for that. Especially, I'd be excited after even just seeing Hill House, but seeing all the other work he's done as well. It's just, it's definitely one to look out for.
Yeah. So yeah, the only thing is though, obviously, as they continue to grow and grow, I mean, they've still got the monopoly at the moment, but they're now facing a lot of competition.
Yes.
So Disney have come out and started their own streaming service, Disney Plus. I think HBO are doing HBO Max.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's Amazon came in with Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I think they're kind of like a steady pace now. I think they're just seeing out the competition as it comes. Because they were taking some moves like a year or so ago to start wiping out the indie kind of stuff, and then they were going to go in with 100% control over what they distribute.
Prime were.
But then I feel like once everyone else started to go, oh, I've got a streaming service now, I'm getting a streaming service now, this, blah, blah, blah. Then they kind of took a step back and was like, okay, let's see how this goes, and then we'll...
That's definitely what it feels like at the moment. It feels like they are assessing the playing field before they commit too heavily. Because I remember didn't they have like a script writing scheme where you could literally send in scripts?
I think so.
But they've stopped it.
Yeah.
So that...
Yeah, that was when they were looking for original content.
Yeah. And they were trying to go into direct competition with Netflix, but they seem to have pulled the brakes on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see where that goes in the next 5-10 years, and who actually comes out on top.
Yeah.
The other thing that's a bit scary is now that all these studios are trying to do their own platforms, they're pulling their IPs from like Netflix and Prime, which means they've got less content, which is cool because it means that they're focusing more on original stuff. But it also means that we're gonna have to get like 10 subscriptions to watch all the good stuff that we want to see. So I think you remember even at one point there was some Star Wars content on Netflix. Obviously that's gone now because of Disney Plus.
That was one of the first things to go.
Yeah. And that's just going to continue.
Same with Marvel. They just started killing off the shows.
Yeah.
Just abruptly ending them. I do think some of them were coming to an end naturally.
To be fair, now that I've seen their plan with what they want to do, I'm kind of glad.
Disney's plan?
Yeah.
Marvel's and Disney's plan.
Yeah, I mean, of Netflix's Marvel stuff, I really enjoyed Daredevil and Punisher, probably.
Yes, they were the top ones.
Luke Cage it's good and bad points. It had elements, yeah. Same with Jessica Jones. It kind of got old, but the first season especially was really good.
I think the Daredevil was rewatchable 100%.
Yeah.
That's you can be in a vibe to watch that.
Yeah.
Punisher, same again, but first season was incredible.
Yeah.
Luke Cage was a one and done.
Yeah.
It always had nice elements, and it was the same with
Jessica Jones. Yeah.
And I didn't even watch
Iron Fist was a write-off. Defenders was a write-off, really. Yeah, they were trying too much too soon with that.
But you could probably see why now. Why they maybe were rushing into it. Maybe behind doors they were hearing the talks of the buyout. Maybe they were like, if we want to get this in, may as well cash it in now.
Yeah.
you know.
But to be honest, they never felt like they were really committed because they never like went the whole hog with like the suits and things like that. They always kept it too gritty or real life for my liking. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of felt too far away from what Feige was doing with the Marvel studios, film studios. So even though when they were saying they were connected, you never really felt like they were connected. And then in the end, we realized they weren't connected. And it was just really a marketing ploy to get you to watch them. And now with Marvel on Disney Plus, because Marvel has been bought by Disney, obviously, we're going to get the true Marvel television.
Yeah. And the buyout of Fox as well. So Marvel is now complete again since like the 90s or whatever it was, or earlier than that.
Yeah. Which I'm happy about.
I'm excited to see what Feige can do with Fantastic Four and X-Men.
Yeah.
If he can get his hands on them. Yeah. That's something that I think I can get giddy about.
Yeah. And I feel like he's doing it the right way in that he's not rushing into it either. No. He's clearly taking his time, and he's got a few other projects first that they want to put out.
Yeah, because I was worried that they were going to get the rights and they're going to start casting a new Wolverine, and then they're going to have a whole new X-Men, and they're just going to shoehorn out the Fox's rendition, and they were just going to put in their own Disney-fied X-Men.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I'm sure with what Kevin Feige's did for his 10-year run of MCU so far, he's gonna sit back. He's gonna have his little writers' room, and they're gonna properly work out how they can work them in.
Yeah. Well, and this is the other thing. So this leads nicely over, because the episode is Stream Wars, Netflix, and Disney. Is in the past 10 years, obviously, has been the rise of superheroes, spearheaded by Marvel and Kevin Feige, and now being brought into the fold of Disney in a broader sense. Now, for me personally, I mean, I loved what they've done. The whole 22 movies, I see them though as one long limited series or mini series almost,
same
as the Infinity Saga, which we've discussed quite a lot. And that's also why they weren't in. You may have seen they were absent from our best films of the decade. I view it as one long story, same as like the comic books, where you can jump into different issues, but
they had some great individual
they'll be collected
films
at the end.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's difficult to judge them in that way because there were some great films individual, which we did mention a few.
Black Panther.
Yeah, we left out one, which is Winter Soldier, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, brilliant movie, and probably deserved to be on that list. So
yeah.
Hence it changes.
Sorry, Russo bros.
Yeah. Forgive us.
Yeah. But yeah, it does just feel like I'm happy now that I've got all the Blu-rays. They're up on the shelf. You can see from Iron Man 1 all the way up until Endgame, and I'm happy with that.
Far From Home.
Or Far From Home, yeah.
Probably
Far
pedantic,
From Home.
yeah.
But that should, that could be another conversation. Oh, push the brakes.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, and it's difficult to kind of go in and judge them individually because then it becomes this huge thing, which it is. But it's like it's nicer just to be like almost like a cinema TV show in a way, where it's like you're going in every twice a year in some cases to watch the next episode. It's like, oh, this is mental. Oh, what's gonna happen next? Waiting for the end credit scene. And
looking out for the cameos and the Easter eggs and
and then going away and then like doing your own detective work of like, oh, who's this? How's this gonna work? How are they gonna fit this in?
Yeah, but here's the thing, I've definitely got fatigue now, and I'm stepping back. And I mean, of what they've announced, there's a few I'm interested in, but I'm not getting myself overhyped about it. And I've lost the emotional connection after Endgame. It's like, I had my cry, was in my feels. Saw Far From Home, felt better, rounded off the series, like you said, closed it off, put it on my shelf. Now I'm standing back, almost like a kid who's grown up, become an adult now, and is not quite as connected to comic books as he was. And I'm just going to view it with an objective mind now. Yeah. And just go into the ones that I'm really interested in, which...
It's just getting a little bit messy, is what it feels like.
Yeah.
I still have faith in Feige and the team to possibly pull something out of the bag, but there's so much going on now. So many characters. It was easy to keep them all in check because, they had like 5 and then added a couple more, and then it was just under 10, and then all of a sudden with all these other spin-offs they're adding like 5 in each of these other spin-offs, and then which was a great payoff in Endgame when they all came together, which was insane. But yeah, it's just,
but how many times can you do that?
How can you control all those characters and their arcs? Yeah, you can have them going off into separate films and having arcs over multiple movies.
Yeah.
But that, imagine being the writers trying to go, oh yeah, then we could do this. Oh, but what about Hawkeye? Oh yeah, but then Hawkeye can do this. But then what about this? It just be a massive.
Well, I think we felt that with the 2 last Avengers films. Some people really got shafted. Some characters didn't get the screen time they probably deserved. Yeah. And that was due to just have so many to manage now.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. I do have confidence in the team and Feige. Yeah. I do think the quality will still be pretty good. But yeah, it's going the way of like the old westerns, where it's just become so many.
I was going to mention that.
The quality seems to drop, and then people lose interest.
I'd say another 10 years, and I think superhero films, unless something comes out and really changes the game and gets people hyped again.
Joker.
Yeah. But not to just go away and make a Joker 2, to go away and use the same vibe and the twist that they went in with it. You know, maybe that'll work. Maybe from what we've heard from Matt Reeves' Batman, it sounds very similar. It sounds very gritty, dark. More going on Batman's Bruce Wayne's detective skills more than I'm just a rich guy in a suit.
Yeah.
Who's got, you know, big pecs.
I actually read some leaks last night about the costume and the Batmobile, and they're going for a very real world, old school vibe. It's not going to be a tank. It's not even going to be like a cool. It's been described more as like a muscle car.
Yes.
And his suit is going to be minimal, like no gadgets. It's pretty much like how it was in Batman Year One, where it was like almost like a fabric sort of pullover, not like this big.
I think that's what they need to do.
Armored thing.
We've seen the big armored Batman a few times now. We've seen the glitzy spandex nippled Batman. We've seen all of it, you know, and we've seen the cheesy like Batman. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, give us a actual real world. I know Nolan tried to go close to it, but still there was like a push. I feel like that's his own universe.
Yeah.
There are still some elements in it where it's like, that doesn't really, physically work.
Yeah. Well,
but I'm really hoping that from what I've seen and read and heard from the actors and how hyped they are about it, that this is going to be like if Batman was in a city today. Yeah.
Or if Batman did appear in Todd Phillips' version of the Joker, like that real world setting. Yeah. This is the thing. It's hard to say that the genre's not got legs anymore because there are so many interesting ways you can still adapt these characters.
But it's if the studios are willing to take the risks
exactly.
to, take that leap.
Yeah. And DC's track record hasn't been that great.
No.
But it seems to be turning around with the Joker and maybe with the Batman, so we'll see.
They have taken some time away, so I'm hoping they've thought about it, but they've done this before as well, and they've came back with Batman v Superman and whatnot.
So yeah, just going back to Marvel. So their cinematic universe started in 2008 with Iron Man, which was just before 2010, obviously. But their shared universe sort of came into effect in 2010 with Iron Man 2, when they really started showing that, matching up these characters and bringing them into the same scenarios.
Yeah.
And in those 10 years, they've had 22 films now, which is crazy.
Ridiculous.
And 8 of them grossed over $1 billion. One of them obviously grossing over 2.7, being Endgame.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, big money. I mean, it's easy to see why they want to keep going. You know, why they spread on to...
Good business.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
The only thing is, you can have too much of a good thing, I feel.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
This might be where it starts to change. Who knows?
Well, I think the one thing that kind of put me off, I can't remember the director's name, you'll probably have to correct me, is the Doctor Strange director.
Scott Derrickson.
Yeah. You told me recently that and I looked it up, and he's dropped out from directing Doctor Strange 2, which was supposed to be the first MCU horror film, and this was going to be an exciting thing because this could have been a huge that was actually one of the films I was excited of the new phase because I wanted to see what they would do with it. But having a horror director drop out of a superhero horror movie goes to kind of shows me that they're not actually going to be as horror as much as you think. Maybe they're just going to dim the lights and have a few monsters, but it's like, don't most kid movies have?
Well, this is the thing. Obviously, with studios and stuff, when directors part, they always come up with a press release, and usually it's creative differences, but it's on amicable terms. You know, I'm sure it was pretty amicable. But
you don't know, do you? We're not in the room.
You don't know 100%, no. But what we do know it probably boiled down to was the fact that it wasn't going to be that, because he was promised that with Doctor Strange 1, actually it was going to be more horror inspired, but they stepped back, which was fair enough because they wanted to introduce it to everybody, and obviously who's going to be part of the Avengers first. That makes sense. But now when he was finally getting the chance to kind of do the real Doctor Strange he wanted to do, you know, which is, what is it called,
Multiverse of
Madness, yeah, which has got really cool you know, Lovecraftian vibes there, doesn't it? Into the Mountain of Madness and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a shame, and it makes me worried for their Blade, which is my most anticipated of their next films.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. Yeah.
I mean, they've got one of the biggest stars at the moment heading it, biggest black stars, Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, and
it was
begged for the role as well.
Yeah.
Like went and met Feige personally.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of anyone better, to be honest.
No. Seeing a few other people went up for the role as well. I think they said Idris went up and asked for the role over the years. A few others. But yeah, after seeing him come up on stage, actually thinking about it, you can really see him in that leather jacket with the sword.
Yeah. And this is the other thing. Wesley Snipes was so good in the original. It was. I think that's why they've actually waited so long in touching this IP again, because they could have done other reboots, you know, not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they didn't. And a lot of it was to do with Wesley Snipes was so iconic in the role. It was like, who was going to replace him? I think up until a point, Feige was even meeting with Wesley Snipes to talk about coming back, but obviously it's too late now. But yeah, there might be a cameo there for him or something like that. But yeah. This is the thing. It's going to be weird now seeing a Blade film after having these, you know, well, the first two originals by Stephen Norrington and Guillermo del Toro, which were hard R's or 18s, like brutal.
Proper guilty pleasure movies.
Yeah, really up there. I really enjoy them.
Yeah, I just wanna know. I just want them to release something or just give a little bit more confidence, and then I might be able to jump back in. But now I'm so removed that I'm ready to move on.
I think I have to be as well now. This is the other thing. Now with all the competition, there seems to be a lot more films being greenlit and coming out now. I don't have the time to be following this Marvel stuff as closely as I was.
No.
You know, there's loads of other great films, especially foreign cinema now. You know, with Parasites and all that coming up. Like, my attention's being diverted.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that meme with the guy who's walking with his girlfriend and he's like, ooh, and then they always stick like, it's like I'm with Marvel and then I'm turning around and I'm seeing, you know, Bong Joon-ho and all this, and I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah.
I might just hop over there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I got some figures here.
Yeah, go.
So, Disney, obviously acquired Marvel in 2009 for. I thought there was actually going to be more, crazily, but they acquired Disney for Disney acquired Marvel for $4.24 billion.
Yeah,
which I was surprised by. I was expecting it to be of a higher value, but I guess that's because of the mindset we're in now with what Marvel is.
Yeah. This is going back a bit.
This is going back to 2009, so understandably.
Yeah.
And then they obviously then went on to acquire Lucasfilm in 2012 for $4.05 billion. Yeah, which again I would have thought would have been more for Star Wars. But I'm only saying this as well because the next figure, which is crazy, is 21st Century Fox.
Yeah.
Which was $71.3 billion.
What?
Yeah.
But that includes like Fox News and all of that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is like literally goes
everything that's broadcast, everything. Yeah. But they were actually, they were initially going to be paying, because remember there was a huge thing like, are they going to get it? Are they not? Are they going to get them? They initially had their bid down for 52.4 bill, but then Comcast came in with a counter offer.
That was it, yeah.
And then they had to push it up.
Yeah.
And then they, and then they obviously went on to acquire it.
Yeah.
Comcast couldn't match that.
No.
So, yeah, but it's exciting because, as we were saying earlier, like...
Well, it's funny you said that because they've almost made all that money back. The revenue of 2019 for Disney was 69.57 billion, which almost pays for that buying out 20th Century Fox already in 1 year.
Flipping hell.
That's insane, right?
Yeah.
That's like God level money.
Yeah. World changing money.
Yeah.
Disney, where are you at?
So yeah, after buying obviously 20th Century Fox, this is a list of some of their IPs: Star Wars, The Muppets, Marvel Cinematic Universe, which includes all of them now because
they're complete because
they've got them back. Yeah. Obviously all the Disney princes and princesses.
Oh no, apart from Sony, but I guess there's their partnership, so they do.
Yeah, but no, good point. Yeah, but it's literally just the Spider-Man and some Spider-Man characters. Chronicles of Narnia they own now because of 20th Century Fox.
No way.
Yeah, obviously the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise,
That'll
which is
actually
being
be
rebooted.
really interesting to see if they could do anything with Narnia.
Yeah,
because that's I think the original ones with Swinton. What's her name?
As the witch. Yeah, Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton. Yeah. From what I remember as a kid, they were really enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I reckon with budgets now, that could make a brilliant either TV show or like a nice like trilogy that they could go away with and do something great with.
That's a good shout, actually. Yeah. I'm sure they'll be mining those soon. Yeah. Obviously, they got all the Pixar animation IPs: Toy Story, Incredibles, Cars, all that, Frozen. The Winnie the Pooh franchise. Yeah. The Indiana Jones franchise.
Yeah.
And
that's
more.
rebooting soon.
Yeah.
Well, not rebooting. They're
sequelizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know about that.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. Harrison Ford come back again.
Yeah. Oh, another little interesting bit of trivia. Since 1991, year I was born, whoop whoop, Disney's annual revenue has only decreased twice.
I remember you saying that is ridiculous.
And I'm not sure which years they were, but imagine like usually they expect businesses to, have the first 5 years be rocky, where you're maybe not turning over a great profit.
Twice.
1991, let's say 1991 and 1992 were a struggle. Since then, they've just been
on and up.
On and up and up. So yeah, congratulations to them. I think we got to talk a little bit about Star Wars.
Okay.
No?
We can do. Lead the charge.
Well, no pressure. Well, I think obviously after Fox and Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's the next biggest IP they have at the moment. The only difference is with the other two, they had someone, or they already had people spearheading it. Whereas with the Star Wars IP, it was kind of, apart from like the expanded universe stuff, the presence to the masses, like through the cinema, was kind of dead. And George Lucas had no intention of picking it back up. So they really had to start again. And it's been interesting because obviously in that time, which has been about 6-7 years, so over the past decade, they've rushed out 5 films.
Yes.
But in that time, they've already sort of overshot, and now there's already a visible decline in viewership for Star Wars, at least in the cinema anyway. Obviously, with Disney Plus, I think The Mandalorian.
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
They do. I think they do have to kind of, because there's been a few people now that have been attached and then removed from extended trilogies and spin-off movies and prequels and sequels and I think the best thing that they can do is draw a line in the sand for Skywalker. It should have been, the line should have been drawn a while ago. I think they need to go away and they need to come up with some more intriguing characters somewhere else in this. It's a galaxy. Like, there are so many people and creatures and interesting stories that there's got to be. And go away and explore these other things. That's why I haven't been able to see Mandalorian yet. But I'm excited for it. And
because it's doing just that.
Exactly. And it's like it's taken me into like another Star Wars culture and of a new planet, of a new species, of a new way of life, instead of like, the Jedi, this, that. I feel like I've learnt enough from that era anyway. I think you could go back and tell me about the original Jedi Order, or the army of Siths and their planet, their homeworld, and
Knights of the Old Republic. Do it.
Do it. Yeah, I think they just need to just draw a big circle around that timeline and go no zone and bugger off in the future or pee off in the past.
Yeah. I mean, I can see why they went the way of doing another Skywalker trilogy.
Yeah, definitely. Again,
if
good
they were
business.
going to do it, I think they should have just adapted the expanded universe novels, which had. I mean, what they ended up doing was with the trilogy that they did with Rey and that, they said that they were ignoring the expanded universe and said it's not canon anymore, and then went their own way, but then ended up going back and doing what the expanded universe did anyway with the return of Palpatine. Yeah. So really what they should have just done,
the Force
and a lightsaber and all of that. So what they should have just done was adapted those.
That's a huge spoiler if no one's watched that.
I don't care, to be honest. I was really disappointed by it. I felt offended by the film. I'm not going to hide my disappointment. Not because it wasn't as great as I thought it should have been, because it felt like they didn't try. It felt like they were just, we just got to finish it. Let's just do it and get their money, and then we can move on, and then we can start doing it better. And I was like, well, that's not the best attitude to have.
Well, I mean, it's going back to the D&D, the writers of Game of Thrones. Is a very similar kind of story with that. It's like a lot of people have mixed feelings on the last season of Game of Thrones. Me too. Yeah. But they kind of felt like they'd done the same thing. They were building this whole huge universe. It was taking its time. It was character building. It was, doing its job. And then it gets to the last season. It just felt like, oh, we got a deadline. This is the last season. Let's get it to the end and get out there. And understandably as well, there wasn't actually a written ending by George R. R. Martin. But still, like, even if you go in your own way, it was like it felt entirely different to what you were building in the first place. And then obviously we hear that prior to them going into production on that, they got offered a trilogy gig with Star Wars. And obviously that's flopped. And it just goes to show, maybe don't, just go, I'm gonna get over this hurdle really quick and just kind of forget about it. Just get it to an end so I can get to this next hurdle, which is going to be huge. It's like, no, because that next hurdle could be affected by how badly you treat this one.
I mean,
so maybe, put it all in, finish it how, because you're making it for the fans. They're the ones giving you the revenue. They're the ones paying to.
They're the ones who got you the Star Wars gig.
Yes.
So
give them
finish off the job first before running away and doing Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah. Agree 1,000,000%.
Yeah, fan service, and they ended up losing the trilogy gig.
Yeah,
and the same with Rian Johnson as well.
Yeah, with The Last Jedi.
Yeah, they straight away promised him, maybe not the same. He didn't rush the film, but they promised him a trilogy before even waiting for the outcome of his film. So it's like silly. Again, it's like, don't rush into anything. You need to take your time and really. If you're gonna do that, then at least plan out X amount, like Kevin Feige with the Marvel Universe. Perfect example. He went in and he took his time. He worked behind other producers and he mapped out. And he's obviously a big Marvel fan.
Yeah.
And he sat down and went and pitched this huge, epic, cinema-changing idea.
Yeah.
And he's executed it. Now I think they've caught up with that plan. I'm hoping that they're doing the same now with this time that they've had off since Endgame. I'm hoping that they're going in and they're methodically going through and
going back to the
map, the
drawing board. Yeah, rather than just carrying on blindly. Yeah, which is what it felt like Disney's Lucasfilm were doing with the Star Wars.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting though. Also, I don't know if you've seen Colin Trevorrow is sort of on a high at the moment because a lot of stuff has been leaked about his version of The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
and fans are enjoying it. And if you look on Twitter, he's actually embellishing it, and I think he's got a big grin because he was let go from doing the original Rise of Skywalker, which he was going to call Duel of the Fates, a callback to the score by John Williams, and makes sense, of it being the light and the right the light and the dark rising again to meet each other with Kylo and Rey.
Definitely.
I mean, I've read what he planned and I've seen the concept art and stuff, and it wouldn't have saved the franchise or the trilogy, but it was a lot better than what we got.
Yeah, saving the franchise or trilogy should have been a whole board meeting talk with directors and writers before Force Awakens.
Yes.
It does feel like they just went movie by movie and was like, we got talented people behind us, which you do.
Yeah.
But each of those talented people are on very different wavelengths. That's the reason why they make very different movies.
Yeah.
And that happened.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Let's just hope they've learnt their lesson, is what I'll say. I just want to comment on something else, because this goes back to episode 1, Introduction and Hollywood Premonitions, where we talked about how last year a lot of old school filmmakers have come out and basically made films that showed off their skills in filmmaking. So that's like Martin Scorsese with The Irishman, Quentin Tarantino with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, among others.
Guy Ritchie with The Gentleman.
Yeah. I'd add Noah Baumbach to that list. Not that he had to prove anything with Marriage Story.
No, I haven't seen it yet, but from what you said, it matches. The same with Little Women, which is Greta Gerwig. Again, it's films writing themselves or hinting at the filmmaking world or techniques or something, or even just blatantly having Hollywood in the name or being based in Hollywood or at a studio.
Yeah, or like Marriage Story, for example, the characters were involved in the industry. Now, what's interesting is not Martin Scorsese. Well, he has come out recently and spoke about his distaste for the superhero genre and probably
and
Disney.
Others.
As well as Quentin Tarantino, who came out the other day and explicitly said,
just confirmed it, basically.
Confirmed what we were talking about in our premonitions, that they are at war with superhero films and big blockbusters and IPs. He literally even said superhero and Star Wars, I think was in the quote. And he said, I was very happy to be nominated with these hosts of other directors. It almost seems like they planned this together. They went, they like made their own board meeting and they're like, right, we don't have a big company, but we've got each other and we've got our filmmaking back catalogue and our talents. Yeah. How can we go to war with Marvel and Disney and all the other big studios?
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
Because you can see how they've came up from a very different Hollywood. And now it's changing rapidly, like so quickly, where companies who are in Hollywood are struggling to keep up. Like, do we go a streaming service? Do we go onto this? Do we partner with them? Do we acquire them? Or, there's this big mess up at the moment. Like people buying people dropping out, board heads changing constantly.
Yes.
So it's like, there is this huge thing, and there's an uncertainty for these directors and filmmakers working in the industry. So you've got to see, like, this is them basically going, right, this is war. We're going to put our foot down. We're going to explain to you what cinema is. And that's their argument. It's like, that's why they're all saying, like, superhero films aren't cinema. And Scorsese, it's a very difficult argument to have because what is cinema? Like, it's a very difficult...
It's different things to different people.
Exactly. People have different... Like, people love horror, people love action, people love cheesy, people love... blah, blah, blah. It's a very difficult thing to pin down. It's more like, what's your personal taste of cinema?
Right, yeah.
So obviously these filmmakers have came from a certain background and they have their own view on what their cinema is. Yeah. Which is 100% fair. We've all grown up and we love their movies. Yeah. And enjoy their cinema. But something that was quite interesting in the roundtable on the Hollywood Reporter was Scorsese said, and he said it elsewhere, and they brought it up as a conversation. He said that superhero films are like a roller coaster. Yeah. And people didn't know whether to take that as like a negative or like, is he saying that like roller coaster fun, like you put your hands up in the air and go for a thrill ride,
throwaway,
or is it like it's like you go and enjoy it and then you go home.
Yeah, no substance.
Is it like a thrill ride for when you're in the cinema, and then when you leave, nothing's left with you? Yeah. And he addressed it, and he basically he tiptoed around the situation. Understandably, he's doing press for Irishman. Yeah. He's not.
And it's up for Best Picture, Best Director.
Exactly. Yeah. So but like he's probably not as ballsy and out there as Quentin just to go, yep, we're at war. Yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah, I don't care.
But what I think is interesting is Quentin waited until he got these nominations, these 10 noms, to say that. He could have said that any time before. And also, as we're coming up to the Oscars, he said this now. So it's almost like now he feels like he's got the backing or whatever to firmly come out and say this. Whereas before, he's kind of only maybe hinted. Which actually is, in fact, he has made comments about sort of the way cinema's going. But if you've ever followed his list of best films year on year, a lot of superhero films have been in there. And another good point, like you said, we were talking yesterday when we were putting this together, a lot of his films, although not superhero films, the main characters are superheroes.
They are, yeah.
Kill Bill, Django. Yeah. Even Inglourious Bastards. That's like a team of superheroes.
Yeah, it's an ensemble.
They're like
they're superheroes going and taking out Nazis, the villains, the antagonists. Yeah.
So I feel like he has to be very careful with his words because he could lose a lot of fans doing this.
Yeah. Because a lot of the people who do enjoy his films and others, they also enjoy superhero movies. That's the reason they're making multi-billion, they're a multi-billion dollar franchise now. Is because people are going and paying tickets to watch it. Exactly. That's not them saying, oh, we don't want to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We want to go and watch Avengers. But obviously to them, as in a business mindset, that's what it's saying. That he's there going, oh, I've only made probably like 800 mil. I don't know what his actual price was. And then they're going off and making 2 point whatever billion. He's taking that as a slap to the face going, I'm an OG. Yeah. And you're going to go and pay to watch that and not going to come pay to watch my cinema. Yeah. You can understand it to an extent, but there is a way where it's like, okay, but you have to understand that, times are changing.
1,000,000%.
As we just said, people have their own preference on what they enjoy and what they like. Yeah. And you have to be in a mindset to watch a film. Yeah. It's like with you when you were mentioning Moonlight. Yeah. You have to be in a mindset to go in to watch these films. There's so many films like Spotlight and things like that I haven't seen yet. I've got on Blu-ray, wrapped up, ready to watch, but I have to be in a mindset to go in to
sit
watch
down
that
and
film.
watch that.
Exactly.
It's that's exhausting. They're traumatizing to an extent.
And if I choose to then go and put in a superhero film or a feel good or something else, that's not me explicitly going, no, Spotlight. Yeah. You're not my kind of cinema. That's me going, I really want to watch you. I know that you're going to be great and you're going to
teach me stuff.
Yeah, and leave something with me. Yeah. But I'm not quite ready to have that thing left with me right yet. Yeah. And these are what a lot of these films do. And with Quentin's stuff, they're, he's got amazing dialogue. His writing is incredible.
Great soundtracks.
Yeah. But you got to like really sit down and like be ready for Quentin's stuff to absorb everything, listen, feel, watch everything.
And the length as well.
Yeah, he's always got long films.
Yeah, and they're not always quick paced. I mean, obviously, you had Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame coming in at like 2.5 hours.
But it's the pacing.
Kids can sit through that. Most people can sit through that. Whereas like The Irishman, you almost got to take a day off to sit down and get through that. It's a slog. Enjoyable, but a slog.
Brilliant. Yeah, but it is, you got to have the time to do it. So yeah, there's loads of different factors that come into it. So it is a difficult argument that there's not really a right or wrong way to go at it, but it is again understandable coming from these Hollywood legends that they do feel trampled on. And especially as we were saying earlier with Scorsese getting told by these big studios who are producing these superhero films going, no, we're not producing Irishman for 150 million, but I'll go away and I'll spend 150 million on a superhero movie. Yeah. So you can understand that there are these levels to them where behind the doors in these studios, they're getting told to bugger off. And it's like Todd Phillips with Joker say he didn't actually specifically want to make a Joker movie. He wanted to make a film about a guy going through mental illness and experiencing various different social issues. Yeah. And when he tried to pitch this film, no one wanted it. He kept trying to make it, wouldn't happen. And then attached Joker to it and just had the story evolve around Joker's storyline.
Because it matched.
Because it matched, and works, and goes along with the Arthur Fleck storyline. Yeah. He did that, and he got into the studio and he started like talking to the heads and started to get them together and rallying together to get behind this film, if he didn't have that Joker DC hero thing attached to it, then maybe it would have been a sluggish job to get made.
Really, he was smart about it. Instead of being
100%.
butthurt, for lack of a better word, he thought, okay, how can I make this happen? And he played the studio at their own game.
Yeah.
He combined the two.
Yeah.
However, I will say, now this is something I do worry about. Joker has come out, it's been a few months now. People still talk about it in high regard. Hopefully maybe with the Oscars it'll bring it back up in conversation.
Yeah.
But I feel like a bit of the message has been missed with a lot of people. I mean, this is a film about mental illness.
Yes.
It's a film about poverty.
That's one of the issues, because when I went in, you do go in with a hint of, I'm a big Batman Joker fan. I'm excited to see what they do and how they poke at Bruce Wayne's origin and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But when you go in, you get smacked in the face with all these social issues and you experience this, like, poor guy's just depressing excuse of a life while he's going through and just being trampled on every single day until he breaks.
Yeah.
And people aren't, as you're saying, I don't think people are understanding that's what it is. People are still looking at it and then even now, like Joaquin Phoenix at the can't remember the awards that it was.
Was it the SAG?
Yeah, the
Screen
SAG,
Actors Guild?
the SAG Awards, when he even said that he was standing on the shoulders of Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Which threw me back because I never even thought about or put them two together.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't. This is the thing. Like, there was a video essay I was watching ages ago where they were there saying, like, with Joker, in each one, Joker is always being the perfect opposite to Batman, and that's why he's possibly the greatest villain. But with every different Batman iteration, there has to be a different Joker iteration. Yeah. And obviously with this one, there is no Batman.
Yeah.
This is society is basically Batman.
Yeah.
And it almost actually made me come away and go, yeah, Batman's a dick.
Yeah.
Like, he came from a well-off family. He's wealthy as
privileged.
Anything. He thinks he's looking after the people on the ground, but is he actually? Because he's a guy going out with selfish needs to go out and fulfill
and get revenge for the death of his parents, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So when I left the film, I was there going, well, actually, the wealthy are the villains, and the people on the ground who are rallying up and putting all the Joker makeup on and everything. This is why it was a nightmare on the news, is because they were ripping into that, like, oh, make sure it's a dangerous film, scary film, because they didn't want people to go off, and not that people were actually going to go off and put clown makeup on and start trashing stuff. Yeah. But they didn't want that spark to go off in people's heads. I think they've achieved it because people have came away and they're not getting it anymore. Yeah. Like, it's stuck with me.
Yeah. But I think people who are filmmakers or into filmmaking deeply will see it and hold on to it. I'm talking more about the general public. Yeah. And that's fair enough. They don't have as much time to commit to it. But the message was loud and clear in the film. So what's confusing me is how over the past few months it's sort of quickly been swept away. Yeah. And I just hope that if it does pick up some awards this season, that is brought back to the fore. Because mental illness is very topical at the moment. It is an issue that everybody's dealing with in some way or another, either personally or someone you know. Definitely. Or being affected by it secondhand. So, yeah.
Yes, and an unseeable illness. You can't look at someone and go, oh, yeah, that person's depressed, or, oh, yeah, that person's got anxiety, or whatever. It's invisible. So, yeah, I think there does need to be some more awareness brought to those issues. So people can be a little bit more sensitive to the fact, instead of just telling someone, oh, cheer up, get up, keep going. It's like,
it doesn't work like that.
That's not how it works.
And that's what the Joker perfectly showed us. No, it's with nurture, it's nature, it's your environment, it's a conditioning of all these things over time becoming like a disease, becoming an actual physical thing, which other people can't see. They can only see the effects of. Yeah. But it doesn't make it any less real. No. You know, you still know the wind exists because you feel the breeze on your face. Do you know what I mean? So even though you can't physically see it. Yeah. So yeah, interesting.
That was a good talk.
Yeah, I feel that kind of sums up everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Stream Wars, the rise of Netflix and Disney.
Whoop whoop.
Here's to another 10 years. Maybe we can follow up and see where it goes from there. Who knows? Netflix might fold and disappear. I can't see Disney going anywhere. They're kind of like the Emperor Palpatine of of real life, aren't they?
If anything, they're gonna go through and acquire. They're plotting at their boardroom how to acquire Hollywood as a whole.
Oh, as a whole, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna acquire the sign. It's not gonna say Hollywood Hills anymore. It's gonna be Disney Hills.
Oh dear, imagine. Yeah, with like Mickey with his ears on. Oh gosh.
LA is just gonna be Mickey Town.
Or it'd be divided in two between them and like the auteurs with like, you know, Scorsese and Quentin on the other side leading
a line in the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Our next episode will be the first week of February, the 7th.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yes, so 2 weeks time, first week of February. We don't have a topic to reveal just yet. We've got a few different ideas.
But if you follow us on all of our socials,
at studio7films.co.uk.
Yeah, on Instagram, Facebook, we'll be releasing information there. Yeah, dropping little hints and whatnot as we go. And also, you get to keep up to date with everything else that we're doing. Yeah, and if you could like, share, subscribe, support. Yeah, comment. We want to hear your thoughts. We really enjoyed that last time, so keep that coming. Yeah, if you got any thoughts on this and you want to have a conversation, spark it up. Yeah. Happy to chat. So, thank you very much. Ciao. See you soon.